And joining us today on our Book Talk segment, a woman who's written a really interesting book, going to give a lot of great information to help people in business or just individually. It's called Branding Pays, the 5-step system to reinvent your personal brand. We're joined by Kang today. She's from out in the San Francisco, Santa Clara area, or Palo Alto area, I should say, of California. She joined us by telephone. Karen, good to talk to you. How are you today?
I'm fine, thanks, Dad. Happy to be here.
Yeah, good to have a chance to chat with you. I had an opportunity to read through the book and the term branding. I mean, it was always in the past, you think of, companies with a brand name, but I guess in the last 10 or 15 years with, the internet and websites, personal branding has really become kind of a buzzword, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's become more than a buzzword. It's become a requirement.
Right.
And if people can get past the hype, then they can really think about how to establish and nurture their personal brand in a way that will help them to reach their career or business goals.
Yeah, I guess each individual now has to almost think of themselves as their own corporation, even if you're not a corporation, have your own, incorporated business. You are a corporation of yourself, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk of, a company of one, and in our new economy, it's very much an agent-based economy, whereas even if you're working for a company, you're essentially an agent because we're moving into this very collaborative management model. And each agent then, for the system to work, must brand themselves because, people need to know whether they need to tap your talents or experience for their particular team. So branding is extremely important, especially as work has become, as I say, more virtualized. So many of us may be working on teams or with clients that we may have never met, and our only exposure to them is through the internet, through teleconferences or Skype or Google Hangouts or what have you. And having a personal brand online is going to be as important as having a personal brand offline.
Yeah, I was going to say more people now can work, like you say, at home or virtually, as they call it, through the computer. You don't really need to be in an office in most jobs now. I guess a doctor still has to be, but for the most jobs, you can work almost individually at least part of the time, and then you do meetings online, that kind of thing. So, or in small groups or small teams as part of a bigger company. So you really need to kind of set yourself apart in those small groups, right?
Yeah, and it actually is harder if, say, you weren't telecommuting and not going into the office regularly. People can kind of forget that you're around, and the opportunity to be recognized, not only physically, but also just kind of known and in the corporate buzz. It's so much more important for you to actually take steps to brand yourself, take steps to be recognized, and to show and demonstrate your value.
What's the biggest mistake maybe people make in not doing their branding right? Obviously, the first mistake is not doing it at all, but when they try and do it, what are they doing wrong, do you think?
Well, I think the biggest mistake is people panic and they just say, oh, got to do something, and they just jump into tactics whether it's social media or whatever. And I think that they can do more harm than good if you put a lot of attention or spotlight on yourself and you're not really clear about what your value is or what your message is. It can actually backfire. So I think that it's more important to, take time to figure out your strategy and figure out who you really are and what your unique value is and to whom. Once you have that set, then the tactics are a lot easier. But when you don't have that set, you really don't know where you need to be seen, what platforms you need to be on, and you're just kind of chasing your tail. So I really recommend that people sit down and figure out their strategy first because everything else will come so much easier.
Yeah, it's not just a matter of going to GoDaddy and building a quick website. I mean, there's a little more to it than that, isn't there?
Absolutely. I mean, what is your website going to say? What are the graphics going to look like? What kind of picture are you going to have? What services are you going to offer if, you're, say, a solopreneur? That's incredibly important. So the whole reason I wrote this book is that people aren't good in thinking through their strategy for their careers or their businesses. And, when I talk about strategic personal branding, very few people do it well. So because I have been in corporate branding for so many years, I had a very good methodology, especially honed with entrepreneurs here. And I had clients who begged me to get into personal branding because they knew it was so important, and they knew I had a methodology to do that. And that's why I came up with these 5 steps.
You talk about the steps in the book. I was just kind of looking at the one I was interested in when I read the book, the ecosystem. You need other people to kind of be around you that can help you out, right?
That's right. Well, it's an interesting concept, and the whole ecosystem concept is one that you might take from biology, but if you apply it to people and you apply it to people's careers or what they want to do in business, we all have dependencies, and there's synergies that are taking place. For personal branding, probably the most important thing in the ecosystem are those people who are influencers of perceptions, and basically that's what personal branding comes down to. It's what people think of you, how they perceive your image and your value. And the way that happens, the most credible way that it happens is when other people say things about you. So it's not just what you say about yourself, but it's incumbent upon you to educate the ecosystem, and they should know what your strengths are and what your true value is, and how you add value to the world in a unique way. And I think the most important thing is to find a way to have a meaningful relationship and engage with these influencers so that there's a win-win there, so it's a two-way value exchange as opposed to you just saying, well, I want you to go say nice things about me, because that's not going to happen if you approach it in that manner.
You talk about, we mentioned earlier about the social media. A lot of that obviously is good, a lot of it is bad, and a lot of it's mediocre. So I know you give some tips in the book on that, but it is important to be part of that in some way, right?
Yes, it's very important. For people in business, probably the most important or the very first platform that they should be on in social media is LinkedIn. And a lot of people may not think of LinkedIn as really social media, but it's really come a long way from being kind of just a more static online resume to being an interactive platform where you can post things, post updates, reach out to people. You can put video, you can put audio, you can put examples of your work up on LinkedIn. It can be a very interactive platform, and I find so many people have not even scratched the surface of LinkedIn, starting with their headline and their profile picture. There are so many headlines that say nothing about what your value is. If you're just, owner of, XYZ company, that doesn't say very much. But if you put some descriptive language behind that in terms of what your expertise is, if you're a speaker, whatever else that might set you apart, that can be very helpful. And people don't have very much time, so when they go to your LinkedIn profile, what are they going to see, and what are they going to take away? So you have to help them. You can't just expect them to wade through, a long profile and your chronological evidence. You need to package it and serve it up in your headline.
Well, the world is definitely changing even faster than probably when we were kids, Karen. So all this information, the way the business is done, it's important information, and you really have to change almost minute by minute nowadays, don't you?
That's right. Things are changing very rapidly all around us. But the thing to understand is in social media, you really need to just focus and not try to get on every new platform that comes down the pike. So, if you're new to all of this, get on LinkedIn. Make sure you have a really good profile that positions you well for what you want to do and achieve. Make sure you have a great LinkedIn profile photo, and then look at some other platforms. For instance, Facebook can be very helpful especially to communicate your personality. Twitter can be very useful, especially if you want to be known as an expert, and you can tweet out great content or repackaged or curated content from other sources that you find. If you want to be known as a leader, a thought leader, this is a great way to do something like that. But don't feel like you have to be on every platform, because we only have so many hours in a day, and if you're on 10 platforms, you're going to not really be serving up meaningful information.
Yeah, you spend all your day on that, you won't get any work done.
That's true.
Name of the book is Branding Pays, the 5-Step System to Reinvent Your Personal Brand. We've been talking with Karen Kang today. And Karen, I know we have limited time today, but it's good to have a chance to chat with you. Give out a website, people get a hold of the book, or your website if you like.
My website is brandingpays.com, and the book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble sites, and local bookstores.
Great. Karen, pleasure to chat with you for a few minutes. Enjoy the cooler summer weather out there, and hopefully we can talk to you again sometime.
Would love it, Doug. You take care.